If
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call our meeting to order with a quick roll call. Regent Acker.
Present.
Regent Bean.
Here.
Regent Bernstein.
Present.
Regent Brown.
Here.
Regent Hubbard.
Here.
Regent Illich.
Here.
Regent Weiser.
Here.
Regent White.
Here.
Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon for our final meeting of 2024. It is thanks to all of you that we've had such an accomplished semester and such a fantastic year together. Since this is the last meeting with us, or his last meeting with us as a regent, I'd like to begin by offering my special thanks to Ron Weiser for his friendship and leadership, as well as his deep commitment and great generosity to the University of Michigan. Ron, thank you again, and I look forward to our formal recognition of you in a few minutes. I would also like to thank Samar and Pooja Kaul, who have recently committed $3 million to establish the directorship at the Michigan Institute for Computational Science and Engineering. Their gift will empower us to connect as we never have before and strengthen our leadership in this critical field. We have also taken an important step in our leadership in artificial intelligence and high-performance computing, especially in our capabilities in science, engineering, and national security. Earlier today, we announced a new partnership with the Los Alamos National Laboratory, one of our national labs here in the U.S., to develop a state-of-the-art facility for high-performance computing and artificial intelligence research, which will strengthen our research capabilities dramatically, open incredible new opportunities for our students, staff, and faculty, create high-paying jobs in Michigan, and we believe invigorate the state's place in the growing artificial intelligence ecosystem and a flourishing information economy. I'd like to especially thank Ravi Pensy and Skip Lupia and the members of their teams for their incredible work in establishing this partnership. Let's hear it for Ravi and Skip. I'm also proud to note that the University of Michigan was recently ranked as one of the top 10 schools in the world for interdisciplinary science, according to the prestigious Times Higher Education. Recently named the top public university for studying abroad and the number 2 university in the nation overall, according to the Open Doors report by the Institute of International Education. And in this year of democracy, civic empowerment, and global engagement, I was pleased to see that we had such a fantastic turnout at our 2 campus voting hubs. Nearly 15,000 voters exercised their right to vote at the University of Michigan Museum of Art and at the Duderstadt Gallery, a 3-fold increase from 2022. For the past several years, we've been so fortunate to have the outstanding leadership of Martino Harmon in student life. That's why I am so proud to announce today that Vice President Harmon is being reappointed for a second 5-year term. During his tenure, Martino has inspired and led a new holistic approach to addressing student health and well-being across the university through the formation of our Well-Being Collective, the signing of the Okanagan Charter for Health-Promoting Universities, and increased access to student mental health resources. Those include CAPS, referred to as Counseling and Psychological Services, teletherapy, University Health Services, Wolverine Wellness, and support in the Dean of Students' office. Martino also led the launch of a new sustainability unit at the university, Student Life Sustainability, which supports multiple student organizations focused on advancing sustainability and the university's carbon neutrality goals. In addition, he spearheaded approval and construction of 3 major capital projects totaling more than $800 million to significantly enhance the student experience while emphasizing sustainability and student wellness. Those projects include the Central Campus Residential Development, the Hadley Family Recreation and Wellbeing Center, and the Edward and Rosalie Ginsburg Building. As important as his many efforts on behalf of our students, Martino has also expanded an engagement program for parents and family members to include virtual workshops, electronic newsletters, a new parent-family communications portal, and additional on-campus programming. So thank you, Martino, on behalf of the university for all that you do, and more importantly, all that you will do in the years ahead. Once again, please join me in congratulating him. Dr. Hartman, would you like to say anything?
President Ono, I just want to thank you and the Regents for approving my extension. I am very honored and excited to continue to serve and lead at this institution. So thank you very much.
I am also pleased a contract of our incredible athletic director. Over the last years, 2020 to 2024, our athletic department has won 52 Big Ten championships across all sports. The next closest, and it's not even close, conference competitor is that school down south with 28 Big Ten championships. Football program won the 2023 national championship, and for the first time in school history, won 3 straight outright Big Ten championships. Last week, we also beat Ohio State for the 4th consecutive time. What a game. During Ward's tenure as athletic director, athletics has put a structure in place where our student athletes compete for Big Ten and national championships. They excel in the classroom and proudly graduate with their University of Michigan degrees. Our tradition of victory on the field is matched by our achievements in the classroom. This past June, a record 243 University of Michigan student athletes were named to the 2024 Academic All-Big Ten team. That's incredible. Is of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee and currently represents our institution and the Big Ten, chairman of the group. And next week, Ward will receive the National Football Foundation for John L. Toner Award as the top athletic director in the nation. Ward, thank you for your ongoing commitment to our achievements. Hopefully many more in the season. Everyone, please join me in congratulating Ward Manuel. Ladies and gentlemen, Ward Manuel.
Thank you, President Ono. Thank you to Chairwoman White and to the Board of Regents, to my colleagues sitting here, to all my coaches, student athletes, and staff. I couldn't have done all of what you said without all of the support and their efforts and their success. And so I, like Martino, thank you all for your support of our department, your support of our student athletes. And today me. I thought I couldn't get more excited about what we did on Saturday, but today is the day. You guys and President Ono, I can't thank you enough, and to the board. And I will lastly say, I've known Regent Weiser for probably 30 years. It means the world to me that you're still on the board when this happens. So thank you, sir. Thank you all. Go Blue. Thank you.
Ward, I just want to make sure I know you're excited. You're not going to plant a flag in the middle of the table, are you?
Finally, I'm delighted to announce that we are expanding the University of Michigan's signature program, the Go Blue Guarantee. We are making this announcement now so that as students consider their decisions for next fall, they will know that the University of Michigan is doing everything we can to ensure every in-state student who is admitted can attend, regardless of their ability to pay. Beginning next fall, eligible incoming and returning full-time in-state students whose families have annual incomes of up to $125,000 and assets up to $125,000 will qualify for this incredible opportunity. This is a sizable and transformative increase over our current income thresholds of $75,000 for the Ann Arbor campus and Dearborn campuses and $65,000 for the Flint campus. This expansion will enable nearly 2,200 additional in-state current undergraduate students to qualify for tuition-free education at our Ann Arbor, Dearborn, and Flint campuses. And it will mean that by next fall, more than 10,000 students will have received the full tuition guarantee since the initiative began. We are so pleased by this moment, and we're so looking forward to the opportunities it will provide so students and families from all across the state, outstanding individuals who will find a University of Michigan education is within their grasp, and then who will go on to exceed their dreams. Thank you to the Regents of the University of Michigan for your leadership and support of this transformational effort that will support an inclusive and equitable environment at each of our campuses. I think perhaps some people might want to comment on that. Regent Bernstein.
Yes, thank you. Very, very briefly, I was at this table when we announced the original Go Blue Guarantee many years ago. It's among the proudest accomplishments collectively of this board that I've been a part of. And at the time, the university said that, intelligence and talent is spread equally across society, but opportunity is not. And the Go Blue Guarantee at the time, set at $65,000, meant that over half of the students, half of the households in this state could send their kids to the University of Michigan for free. And now we're doubling that. It's an extraordinary commitment to this state, to the future of this state, and I'm just so grateful to you and the administration for finding the way to make this happen. It's really an important moment.
Regent Hubbard?
Thank you, President Ono. And I am delighted to support this and so excited that we're able to move this and, support everything that Regent Bernstein said. But I want to say that what we did a month ago in supporting institutional neutrality for this university, what we announced this morning by eliminating diversity statements, and now by doing the significant move and expanding the Go Blue Guarantee, means we're open for business for people from all walks of life, and people should feel comfortable on this campus expressing diversity of thought and freedom of expression from places from throughout the state and throughout the world.
Thank you. Regent Illich?
I just want to say how incredibly excited I am about this. I, along with Regent Bernstein, was on the board when we first created this guarantee. It has been highly effective, and it's why we are expanding it. I want to thank the team and all the work that's been done to help fund this. And we are constantly thinking and talking about an affordable, accessible education for all. And we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. And I'm very excited about the accessibility that this is going to give to future students.
Thanks, President Ono.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I also was on the board when we came up with the original Go Blue guarantee, and to have a 60% increase, over the original amount, which was the median income in the state of Michigan, is significant. These changes, we don't make these in a rash fashion. It's something that we've thought about over the last several months and how to proceed forward in this area to give this opportunity, of a great education, tuition-free to as many students as the university can afford. So it's important, and it's something we're very proud of.
Thank you again. And as we go to our business for this meeting, I'd like to wish all of you a safe and joyous holiday season. Before we start, Regent Illich has a comment and a question.
Thank you. I wanted to ask our government brilliant expert, Chris, can you give us an update? We've been reading a lot about the new administration and the impacts that's to come. And there's been a lot of rumor, and we, of course, want to try to speak in fact as much as we can. But can you give us an update in light of the discussion of the Go Blue guarantee, institutional neutrality, diversity statements? What is expected?
Well, thank you, Regent Illich. And I had to remember how to turn the mic on since it's been about 3.5 years since I've had that opportunity. But yeah, I know. No, and
He's learning how to turn it off.
former politician, you never give them an open mic. But I appreciate, these. I will just really preface this. These are my thoughts and my thoughts only. They're not based on any, real intel or anything. But the morning of November 6th, the day after the election, the political landscape changed dramatically for the coming year and the coming years. On January 20th of next year, when the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump happens, the Republican Party will control all 3 branches of government and will control both chambers of Congress. That's different than what we've had some time. And they do intend to move forward on their proposals and their campaign pledges. All new administrations bring both risk and opportunities, and this is not unlike that, except that I think what's different is that higher education is really in the spotlight more than ever going forward. I made a list at 3 a.m. one morning, not because I couldn't sleep, but because I had other parental care duties going on, of just the risk or the issues of concern that were out there. And they started with China, which is my shorthand for research security, immigration, Title IX/LGBTQ with a big emphasis on T, DEI and wokeness, anti-Semitism, NIH reform, endowment tax, the elimination or reduction of the Department of Education, financial aid, federal budget cuts, the politicalization of research. And at the time, they were only going to be an advisor, but Robert Kennedy Jr. and what he represents on thoughts on healthcare that are different than some. Those are what I see are out there for us on the concerns of what we need to be looking at. And I have been told pretty bluntly that Congress and this administration will use whatever tools they can to have us, yield to what they want us to do. And DEI is one of those things I know you're interested in hearing about, is one of the things that they believe need to be eliminated from higher education. And they will use whatever tools they can, including the cutting off of finances, to make that happen. And we need to be aware of that as an institution. And it is not just, DEI, there'll be other risk as well there. And the opportunities are there are going to be very few areas of increased funding due to past budget agreements, but also based on what financial, fiscal policies that are going to be adopted as well. But we do know that we think that Department of Energy and Department of Defense are going to be the two areas of potential increase. And we really sit very well to take advantage of that. But these other issues of concern will need to be addressed if we wish to take advantage of that. So my message is really that we may have to trim sails, we may have to tack left, we may have to tack right, but we have to keep our eye on what I think the three principal goals and priorities of this university are. And that is to provide world-class education, an uncommon education to the common individual, cutting-edge research, and life-saving healthcare. We have to keep our eye on that mission and deal in this new landscape. There'll be lots of hard decisions to be made. Know that we will be there every day in DC or Lansing or wherever we have to be to really help this university to perform its mission because it is very important. I take it personally. I'm only here at this table because of this university. I have someone very dear to me who's still with us because of what happens at the health systems. I know of the world-class research that goes on here every day. We read about it in the newspapers and in journals. Pancreatic, cancer research that was just in there. Those are the things we have to focus in on because that's what we're here for. That's what we've been around for 200 years. And I'll be damned if we're not going to be around for 200 more years. So that is my report out.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Will you be sure to keep us updated? I know you go to Washington a lot. You get intel, so please keep us the latest. Thank you.
We will now transition to the formal part of the meeting. Provost Macaulay will introduce a presentation on the European Southern Observatory 39-meter ELT project with Professor Michael Meyer, who is at the podium. Welcome, Professor Meyer.
And it is my pleasure to introduce Professor Meyer. Professor Meyer is the chair of the Astronomy Department in LS&A. He has served as chair of Star and Planet Formation at ETH in Zurich and was formerly a professor astronomer at the Department of Astronomy and Steward Observatory of the University of Arizona, where he was also a Hubble Fellow. He has more than 25 years of international scientific research experience in the fields of galactic and infrared astronomy, as well as the formation, evolution, and characterization of planetary systems, along with the associated implications on the prospects for life in the universe. He has experience participating in the development of ground and space-based instrumentation, including both the NIRC CAM and the NIRISS instruments for the James Webb Space Telescope, as well as high-contrast imaging systems for 6 to 10-meter telescopes and next-generation extremely large telescopes, or ELTs, which we will hear about today as he shares information about the European Southern Observatory's 39-meter ELT project. We are in for a treat today. Please welcome Professor Michael Meyer.
Thank you, Provost Macaulay, and thank you, President Ono. Sorry for all the acronyms. There'll be more as I go through this. I'm very grateful to be here today to tell you all about the Astronomy Department's investment in the Extremely Large Telescope, or ELT project. You can see a picture of the telescope there on the left as it's under construction on a mountaintop in Chile. At the moment, the project is about 80% complete. This investment is a partnership between the University of Michigan and the Department of Astronomy, and rest assured we are working very hard to maximize our return on this investment. There we go. Astronomy is among the leaders and the best in research areas that can be framed by these three questions. Where did we come from? What's our place in the universe? And are we alone? The image on the upper left is from NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, the NIRCam instrument. It's one of the deepest images of distant galaxies that we have to date. And those galaxies formed when the universe was only 1% to 2% of its current age since the Big Bang of 14 billion years. Each of those points of light contain up to hundreds of millions of stars, and most of them have planetary systems around them. They might even have life, such as we have on Earth, shown there rising above the lunar landscape. We educate more than 50% of students in astronomy of the University of Michigan's largest college in our general education classes, where they learn quantitative reasoning skills. We also mentor very talented undergraduates and graduate students for a wide range of careers in the science and tech sectors. On the upper right, you can see a picture from one of our undergraduate research symposia, where undergraduates present their own independent work. And in the middle is a picture of one of our graduate students on site at the Magellan Observatory, also in Chile. That mirror is 21 meters across. It's our premier research facility, and it was established more than 20 years ago. We also mentor those with great potential from any background, and we've been acknowledged nationally for this work. The American Association for the Advancement of Science recently awarded us a bronze award from their Sea Change program, and to date, we're the first and only physics or astronomy program to be thus recognized. With this investment, Astronomy will be the only U.S. institution, public or private, that has access to the world's only extremely large 30-meter class telescope. It will be completed in 2028, and there won't be any other competition for the foreseeable future. That telescope, when done, will make images 6 times sharper than NASA's JWST, which you can see on the lower left in comparison to the ELT on the lower right. You can also see 6 JWSTs stacked up to span the diameter of the 128-foot aperture of the ELT, shown there with the big house for comparison. The telescope will be more than 36 times more sensitive than our current flagship facility in Chile, the Magellan Telescope, which you saw in the previous slide. And with this access, we will have unprecedented scientific leadership opportunities in our field and tremendous training and educational opportunities for students at all levels. The ELT will have 4 extremely capable instruments, which we are a part of building with our international partners. It should have the capability of imaging the first Earth-like planet around the very nearest stars to the sun, and possibly detecting signs of life in the atmospheres of those planets. On the lower left, you see an artist's conception of one of those potentially habitable planets around the very, very nearest star to the sun. The ELT will also detect the very first galaxies and black holes that formed in the early universe within a few hundred million years of the Big Bang. On the right is a theoretical interpretation of how large-scale structures form in the early universe under the forces present at that time. And the zoom in the upper right by a factor of 1,000 is a tiny proto-galaxy that may end up like our own Milky Way galaxy, with the seed of a supermassive black hole contained in its center. Our return on this investment will be multifold. There will be new discoveries, some of which we cannot yet anticipate. There will be absolutely unique training and educational opportunities for students at all levels, and astronomy, hopefully, at the very top of the field. Thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions or require further information, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Professor Meyer, I have a very important question. I'm very impressed with your work, and the American Association for Advancement of Science recognition is so deserved. We're so excited and so privileged to have you here on our faculty, which will give us this unprecedented access to this extraordinary telescope. I have one very important question. You may know that there was an all-Michigan Apollo mission, and that mission actually was responsible for creating the first extraterrestrial alumni chapter of any university in the world. And so the mission is, as you search into the distance with your telescope for habitable Earth-like planets, please find the next destination for our next extraterrestrial alumni chapter.
Go blue wherever.
Seeing no other questions, we now move on to the Regents Committee reports. The first report is from the Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee. I don't know if Regent White can hear me.
Yeah, I can. I'm ready to make the report. Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee met this morning, including Regents Bernstein, Hubbard, and Weiser, who met with the Executive Vice President and CFO, Chattis, and AVP Smith for an update on Veritas operations and a discussion on endowment funding. The results of the external audit competitive bid process for fiscal year 25 to 27 were reviewed, and the committee received information on internal controls. And we would also like to mention, again, congratulations to AVP Smith on his becoming the CFO at University of Texas, Austin. It's an incredible accomplishment, but we will miss you greatly. Over.
Thank you very much, Regent White. Now on to the Health Affairs Committee with Regent Beam.
Thank you, President Ono. The Health Affairs Committee, including Regents Brown and Hubbard and myself, met with Executive Vice President of Medical Affairs Runge and the U of M Health President Miller for an update on U of M's health activity in Oakland County and a proposed philanthropic partnership. We also received a finance update.
Thank you, Regent Beam. Now over to the Personnel, Compensation, and Governance Committee with Regent Illich.
Thank you, President Ono. The committee, including Regent Acker and Bernstein with Provost EVP McCauley and Vice Presidents Kinsey and Churchill for an update on the Future Governance Bylaws project. We also discussed a number of HR-related issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Illich. And now we come to the part of the meeting that I've been looking forward to from the very beginning, our opportunity to thank Ron Weiser. We would like to formally extend our deep gratitude to Regent Ron Weiser for his service as a regent, his commitment to the university, and his many contributions to our community, our country, and his alma mater. He received his bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan in 1966 and went on to found McKinley Associates, Inc., and serve as its chairman and chief executive officer until 2001. That year, and just after 9/11, he began serving his nation as ambassador to the Slovak Republic under President George W. Bush. As ambassador, he guided Slovakia's membership into the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the European Union, as well as strengthened its economic and political relationship with the United States of America, for which he was awarded the Double White Cross, the highest award given to non-Slovaks. In addition to his service to our nation, Ron has been an incredible benefactor and supporter of our university and our community. He has served or chaired the board of directors for numerous nonprofit organizations, and he also founded or helped found 9 centers and institutes at University of Michigan. Those include the Elizabeth Weiser Caswell Diabetes Institute and the Mary H. Weiser Food Allergy Center, the Weiser Center for Europe and Eurasia, the Weiser Center for Real Estate, the Weiser Center for Prostate Cancer, and the Weiser Center for Emerging Democracies. Ron's impact is still growing today. We are currently partnering with him to create yet another consequential campus entity, an Institute for Civil Discourse. This dynamic center of learning and engagement will be dedicated to fostering meaningful conversations and mutual understanding across diverse perspectives on campus, empowering students, faculty, and community members to navigate complex issues with empathy and critical thinking. We learn, all of us, by confronting different arguments and different perspectives. Michigan should be the place to do this, to show our community and our nation that civil discourse is not just possible, it is the very best way to learn and to solve problems. It is fundamental to our democracy. This latest institute, added to that long list I articulated, is made possible by his initial, extraordinary, and new, announced today, generous commitment of $10 million in support of his effort, and it showcases his ongoing dedication to strengthen our community, our university, and society in meaningful, impactful, and lasting ways. Altogether, Ron and his family have committed more than $200 million to the university. Most recently, they gave $25 million to establish the Weiser Family Center for Breast Cancer at the University of Michigan's Rogel Cancer Center. Your impact on your alma mater has been absolutely transformational, Ron. And I also want to thank you because your encouragement really led to me moving from UBC to the University of Michigan, and I will never forget your encouragement of me to move here. So on behalf of all of us, thank you. Your leadership and generosity, your service to our country and to our community have had an extraordinary impact and left an indelible imprint on our university. And with that, I would like to ask Regent White to read a resolution to Regent Weiser. Regent White?
Thank you, President Ono. The Regents of the University of Michigan extend their heartfelt appreciation to Regent Ron Weiser as he completes his service as a member of the board, which he was elected in 2016. Regent Weiser founded McKinley Associates Incorporated, a national real estate investment company, in 1968. From 2001 to 2005, under President George W. Bush, he served as the U.S. ambassador to the Slovak Republic, arriving there just after 9/11. His service on nonprofit boards is lengthy and includes democratic engagement, medical research and health, the arts, and history. He founded or co-founded 9 centers and institutes at the University of Michigan and was deputy chair of the University of Michigan Victor's Campaign. He currently is a trustee of the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Foundation. Regent Weiser also continues to assist in raising resources for a pediatric brain cancer center that he helped found at the C.S. Mott Children's Hospital in honor of the late Chad Carr. His service on the board has been instrumental in moving important initiatives forward, and his philanthropic support for the university has been far-reaching. His leadership not only inspired members of the board, but also fostered a collaborative and positive environment. As he moves on, the Regents acknowledge their gratitude for his contributions and the lasting impact he has made. In recognition of his philanthropy to the university and insightfulness as a member of the board, the Regents now salute him with the honorary title, Ron Weiser, Regent Emeritus. Congratulations, Ron, we will miss you, but we know we will spend time with you because you are a part of the Michigan family for the rest of our lives. Thank you.
I'd like to ask whether other regents or leadership team members would like to add something. Regent Illich.
Thank you, Regent White. That was just beautifully put. There's not a lot to add, but I do want to say a few things. There's always a public persona of a regent and a private persona, and I've had the privilege to enjoy both. And I just want to remind everyone that, and just say and put in the record that you are a Wolverine through and through. I always laugh about that Michigan man thing, but I kind of get it now. You are a Michigan man through and through. You're a person of service that you've displayed your whole career. You're a person of generosity, which is beyond remarkable. You're a Wolverine of deep commitment to the university. And you're a Wolverine of finance. You've been brilliant in being able to help us navigate complex financial issues at an institution that is so large. I'd also like to just say that, kind of just again put on the record and remind everyone, the 9 institutes and $200 million, but just stop and think about the lives that have been impacted by that, the lives that have been saved through much of the medical, the lives that have been improved through research, hopefully a step closer to peace with emerging democratic markets. I just think that the impact is amazing and want to remind everyone. And the beautiful thing is that that will continue. And all of the impact that you've made thus far will continue for many, many years to come. So thank you for that. You've been a great colleague. And you're also a lot of fun. Like, I don't know what we're going to do about the whole wine thing. Ron, for those that don't know, he's also a connoisseur of wine. So, of course, every event that we celebrated, we would have okay wine, but then all of a sudden, Ron just took us up a couple notches and brought part of his wine collection. So thank you for your service.
Regent Bernstein.
Thanks, Santa. Ron, many years ago, we called on you to resign from this board, and I'm glad you ignored that. You have become a dear friend and a mentor, and you every place you go on this campus, I always say if a development officer meets you at a unit or a location on this campus and they don't walk away with at least $1 million, they should find another job. But you just love this place. And we love you, and you'll be missed at this table, but I'm certain we'll be calling on you for your wise counsel. So, job well done.
Regent Brown.
Thank you, and I'll try not to be too emotional. I might not be able to look at you while I do this, Regent Weiser, but as a region, I think about, how do we, what is our role here as an institution? And I think, simply put, it's to create positive impact, and that is not done through our buildings or our stadiums. It's done through the people that work here and that we educate. And you think about the best of the best, the leaders and the best of those people. And I've referred to different regents in the past as being on the Mount Rushmore of the regents through the history of this institution. And to say Ron is on that is an understatement, because that is just one category of which Ron belongs on the Mount Rushmore of our graduates. We want them to, be great public servants, successful in business, health, politics, donors. And when you think of Ron's accomplishment, I can't think of anyone of any of our graduates in the great history of our institution that has accomplished what you have in every one of those categories. Everyone is on the Mount Rushmore. As a business person, you created $1 billion business. As a politician, you led your party at this state. In health, the several institutes you've created and the impact they've had. As a public servant, you've been an ambassador. And as a donor, I think you're number 2 in the history of this institution. So to say you're on the Mount Rushmore is an understatement. You're the only one. You're the only one that belongs in that monument. So again, you're one of my best friends and most important mentors, and I thank you.
Regent Beam?
Thank you, President Ono. I'd just like to adopt everything that everyone said so far, Ron, but I think a very important thing to point out is we are in a political environment today of it's either you're with me or against me type of an environment that we live in, and it's just full of tribalism. And one of the things I find most impressive that you've done, that you live daily, in addition to everything everyone's talked about so far, is that you are constantly seeking out common ground with those that you might disagree with politically, and I find that incredibly admirable. Thank you.
Okay.
Becker?
Thank you. And like Paul said, I don't know if I can look at you when I say this either, Ron, so I apologize. I was thinking about what to say, and I was thinking about the first time we met, and I remember going to get a fish lunch with you over in Ann Arbor, and thinking about what it was like for me, this little punk kid meeting with one of the, as Paul said, the most important people in Michigan history. And I remember it was the Thursday or Friday before the Ohio State game. And I remember just making small talk with you and saying, "Oh, you think we're going to beat them this weekend?" And you said to me, "Well, that's not one of the things we handle on the board, but we handle everything else." And I remember the incredible dedication and a memory and understanding of this place that I could only hope in my wildest dreams to understand. I remember you told me the story, and for those who don't know, this table, I was telling Ron about how, I had gone to law school, and Ron's telling me about how he had left a book open and left for real estate and never come back. And I think that was the smart decision, by the way. And I just remember, thinking about that and thinking about the last 6 years that we've served together and how much I've learned from you and how much I admire you. And one of the things that I think gets lost, and we talk about these institutes and second largest donor and all these things, but that pales in comparison to the things that people don't know about. The meetings that we've had with U of M Dearborn or U of M Flint over the years, where we're talking about a program that needs a startup that needs $75,000 or less. And Ron, without thinking, says, yeah, I got it. Let's start this program. Let's do it. And no one ever hears about it. There's no name on it. There's no ceremony. There's no tunnel or building. It's just something you do because your love for this place is as deep as any person who's ever been on this campus. So now in your free time, I think you should go back to the law school and open up that book. But more importantly, we need you to come back because whether you're regent or regent emeritus, you're with us forever. And we love you for everything you've done. Thank you, Ron.
Sarah, Regent Hubbard.
Thank you. I don't have a whole lot else to add as everybody else has been so eloquent in support of your achievements, but as still the most junior member of this board for a couple more weeks, I want to tell you that I've really appreciated your mentorship and leadership. Right from the beginning, you helped me join this club in a way that is certainly unforgettable, and the ability to serve with you and your very much stable leadership throughout our time together has been a pleasure and a blessing. And I really do also look forward to seeing your continued engagement with the university into the future. And I know you have some really great ideas on how to do that. And someday we're all going to be emeritus. And so we want to join you in creating that effort. So again, thank you so much, Ambassador. And we look forward to seeing you many, many, many more times in the future.
Regent Weiser, I just want to say just something real quick, and we'd love to hear from you. But, you know, after I arrived here at the university, two people drove me around. You drove me around Ann Arbor and the campus, and Mayor Duggan drove me around Detroit. And both of you, he loves Detroit, you love the University of Michigan, like no one else I've ever met. And remember that day? Woke up early, we went to Angelo's, and then you drove me around. And it was so clear that you love the university so much. And I remember we were driving around near the big house and Chrysler and all around the place. And you said, you know, and one day maybe we'll have more residence halls. And it happened. And it wouldn't happen without you. We know that. And then we drove up to North Campus and you said, look, we need to breathe life into this campus and really come up with a plan for the entire university. And Campus Plan 2050 wouldn't have happened without you. The idea to have one was planted on that drive together. So I just want to say thank you personally, and to say this is certainly not goodbye. Not only are you a Regent Emeritus, but I hope that you'll still be a member of the President's Advisory Group, and I'll be reaching out to you, and you've always been there. You've always picked up the phone whenever any of us has had a question or needed sage advice. So, Ron, thank you so much. So, over to you.
My turn. Hope I can get this out. Even though I'm no longer a regent in approximately 26 days, give or take, I intend to continue to serve this great institution, and I've agreed to serve for the same compensation I've been receiving as a regent. And it's really been a pleasure to serve with all of you and to serve this great institution. It's made a difference in so many people's lives, and it continues to do so. It saves lives, it improves lives. It's something different than you'll see any place in the world. So thank you.
Love you, Ron. Go blue.
I forgot to add go blue.
These are the parking lot.
Before we go on with the consent agenda, we will vote on the conflicts of interest items, 10 to 30. They're in front of you, and each will require 6 votes for an approval. Before we go to the votes, does anyone have any questions or the need to request recusal from voting on any particular item? If so, please let me know. Is there a motion to approve? Second? This will be a show of hands vote. I need to count 6 hands.
I vote aye.
I see all 8 hands. The motion carries. We move on to the consent agenda and an update from EVP Chattis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am pleased to report that the university's endowment is valued at $19.2 billion for fiscal year 2024, making it the 9th largest endowment in the nation. Ron, thank you for your help on that as well. The return on the endowment's long-term portfolio was 8.9%, outperforming the 5.7% benchmark. While it lagged behind less diversified endowments due to public stock performance, its 5-year annualized return of 11% and 20-year annualized return of 9.3% remain amongst the highest. Distributions increased for the 25th consecutive year to $506 million, totaling $6.8 billion in distributions over 25 years. Prospects are positive for steady and growing distributions that will provide valuable support for the university's critical mission as a public research institution and healthcare provider. Thank you.
Thank you, EVP Chattis. Chancellor Grasso has his report on Dearborn.
Thank you, President Ono. First, I would like to add my thanks to Regent Weiser for his service on the board and his support of the Dearborn campus. And President Ono, you did forget one naming opportunity that Ron Weiser provided. He provided the Weiser Family Atrium in our beautiful new engineering lab building, which helped us build the building. So I want to thank Regent Weiser for all of his support. We recently had the Chancellor's Staff Awards in November, and we recognized over 1,000 years of service on our campus. But what was remarkable was John Kozowski had celebrated 50 years of service on the Dearborn campus. He started when the university was only 15 years old, and he has seen enormous changes there. And he's still working on campus, which was really a pleasure and an honor to recognize. President Ono, you yourself visited our campus in November, and you visited the Natural Science Department. You talked about Vision 2034, how research is a priority, and you gave a spectacular talk about genes and DNA. Unfortunately, I was not there, but I've heard multiple people say how much they enjoyed your visit and your presentation, so thank you very much. Our commencement is going to be on December 21st, and our commencement speaker is Henry Mayer, who is a Dearborn alum and a former president, retired president and CEO of FedEx Ground. So he's going to be a terrific speaker and talk about how his experience on the Dearborn campus influenced his career. I also want to note that during election season, 13 of our faculty members were featured in 56 media outlets, which is pretty incredible for a small campus such as ours. Our associate professor of political science, Julio Borquez, had a piece in The Conversation that was selected as 3 essential reads for independent voters, which was very impressive. I'm also very thrilled to announce that a multidisciplinary team in our engineering college received a $1.65 million grant from DoD for digital enterprise technology for the operationally manned fighting vehicle. And finally, next week, we will have a ceremony on our campus with an oath of office ceremony for Regent-elect Carl Meyer, who is a Dearborn graduate, and I invite everybody to join us. It's going to be on Thursday, and you'll all get an invitation. Go Blue, go Dearborn, and happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Chancellor Alexander has a report from Flint.
Thank you, President Ono. On behalf of the University of Michigan Flint, we too would like to say our word of thanks to Regent Weiser for his support of our campus throughout the years. Thank you. And we'd also like to acknowledge with the expansion of the Go Blue guarantee that we're very excited about that and about what that expansion will mean for U of M Flint and for our city and the region. It means greater student success for us. It means greater social mobility for students and their families. And it means greater contributions to the economic development of that city. So we're very grateful, and I want to thank our regents for their support and for coming forward. The U of M Flint Department of Public Safety was recently awarded $935,000 from the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards to continue building its community policing capability, enhancing the department's opportunity to serve the campus and surrounding area. The grant focuses on youth crime intervention, aiming to connect at-risk youth with resources to set them on the right path, as well as programs and events that encourage safe and responsible choices. Also, two of our students, Sammy Katab and Alyssa Washington, advanced to the semifinal round of the Great Lakes Regional Moot Court Competition. Their performance earned them a spot in the preliminary rounds of the upcoming Moot Court National Tournament in January. They are the first team in U of M Flint history to make it to nationals. I'd like to offer my heartfelt congratulations to Sammy and Alyssa and wish them the best of luck in the national tournament. And finally, or next to finally, let's say finally, the university men's club hockey team has announced its promotion to Division I of the American Collegiate Hockey Association, beginning with the 2025-26 season, marking a significant milestone in the program's history. With the move, the hockey team will become the 7th member of the Great Lakes Collegiate Hockey League. And I will also just mention that we also are excited and looking forward to our fall commencement on December 15th. With that, President Ono, that concludes our report. Go Flint and go Blue.
Thank you very much, Chancellor Alexander. The personnel actions are in the book, along with a number of retirement memoirs and recommendations for honorary degrees. We discussed those earlier today. That concludes the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Second? Motion, all those in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. We now move on to the Finance and Property Committee. First two are items for information. Items 3 to 6 are real estate purchases and can be taken together. EVP Chattis? Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign? And anyone abstaining? Motion passes unanimously. EVP Chattis will speak to the next three items. First, the University of Michigan Health Sparrow lease of 1004 East Michigan Avenue in Lansing, Michigan.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. The next item is the Ypsilanti Health Center Adolescent Partial Hospitalization Program on 300 West Michigan Avenue in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. The motion passes unanimously. We now move on to the appointment of auditors. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. The auditors have been appointed unanimously. Conflicts of interest items 10 to 30 were approved earlier on the agenda, as you'll recall. We're now moving on to section 10, other. Restructuring and closure of the College of Engineering Department of Integrative Systems Design, ISD, division into the College of Engineering academic units. Provost McCauley.
Nothing to add.
Is there a motion? Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Government Integration Regional Community Hospital Boards, approval of plan amended and restated bylaws. EVP Runge,
Nothing to add, President Ono.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. The integration is approved unanimously. University of Michigan Regents bylaws, approval of housekeeping bylaw revisions. Vice President Kinsey,
Nothing to add.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. The bylaw revisions are unanimously approved. Name change for the Sam Zell and Robert H. Lurie Institute and the supporting endowed and expendable funds. Provost McCauley,
Nothing to add.
is there a motion? Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Approval to establish academic departments and divisions within the College of Innovation and Technology at the University of Michigan, Flint. Chancellor Alexander? Nothing?
Nothing.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. University of Michigan Flint bylaws, approval of revised University of Michigan Flint bylaws, multiple articles. Chancellor Alexander? Is there a motion? Second? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Regent Illich would like to make a comment?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to publicly address a doctor, an internal medicine doctor at Michigan Medicine. I had a family reach out to me, the Carol Scalisi family. I have their permission to say this, but she was in the cancer area. I want to acknowledge Dr. Muhammad Hadius. I've not met the doctor, but this family was so honored and touched by the care of Dr. Hadius. He went over and above. I know we have amazing doctors at Michigan Medicine, but not only did he care for her, but made her struggle a little bit easier. She did not survive, but they are eternally grateful for the care that she received. And so I would like his name reflected in the record. I'd like to thank him publicly on behalf of the family. And as we've said earlier, I think it was Chris who said part of what our mission is, and part of our mission is helping people. And so I want to thank him publicly for that. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Regent Illich. Next, student government report with Rackham Student Government President Angelica Previero.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Hello, President Ono, members of the Board of Regents, executive officers of the university, and members of the community. My name is Angelica Previero. I am an international student and PhD candidate in molecular, cellular, and developmental biology, and I'm serving as the president of the Rackham Student Government. I have submitted my report, which I hope that you will all read, but I wanted to give some highlights about it. I wanted to highlight the fact that we continue to promote community across the graduate student population this year, trying to have a particular intentionality about creating conversation across divides. And we have also focused on voter registration and voter engagement as well. We continue advocating for the graduate student community, especially on many different topics, from focusing on graduate student parents and caregivers to mental health resources, and making sure that the U of M graduate student community is aware of the wealth of resources that U of M provides. And we also continue to address affordability concerns for graduate students. However, I would be remiss if I didn't share the concerns that the graduate student community have around the future of DEI at this university. One thing that sets us as University of Michigan apart has been our strong commitment to DEI. It has opened the doors of the University of Michigan and beyond to students who are underrepresented. If we look at data shared in the DI 2.0 annual report, we have metrics on minoritized student populations, which we do not have the time to cover all. However, just as an example, we've seen our Black undergraduate student population increase by 21.6%, and our Black graduate and professional student population increased by 38.3% from 2016 to 2023. Moreover, we've worked to increase affordability and socioeconomic diversity at U of M as well. Compared to 2016, we've had more undergraduate and graduate students receive Pell Grants by 32.8% and 14.6% respectively. And we celebrate the continued and now expanded investment in the Go Blue Guarantee and the Wolverine Pathways program, which demonstrates how our work is not just on our campus, but uplifting the community surrounding UM. What would be the consequences if you were to cut DI funding on all of this success? And no matter what the labels are, how can we maintain the focus on our community and keep doing this work moving forward in our pursuit of leaders and best? Finally, this is a year in which the campus climate is marked by tensions and polarized opinions. We unequivocally condemn the doxing of any individual, especially students. And while we deeply appreciate the extent to which the executive officers seek and respond to requests for student representation and intentionally connect with students, we also urge the Regents to build bridges and not walls with your student population. There are so many students that would be ecstatic to connect and have productive conversations and collaborations with you as we all strive to do good by the university that we all care about so much. Several peer institutions have student representatives serving on the respective board of regents or trustees, with some students holding voting positions and other students holding ex officio positions. If a seat on the board is not possible or feasible at all, it is at least my deep hope that you would at least choose to start connecting with students in a more informal setting, and as students and especially student representatives. Thank you all for your time and continued support. We see and recognize all the work and service you provide to the University of Michigan. As a reminder, our door is always open to provide student input. Should you have any question or wish to get in touch with us, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Angelica, can I just simply say, it's really a joy to work with you. I've had a chance to work with you for a couple of years now, and I've seen your dedication. And thank you for your comments. If you don't mind, I just wanted to respond to your, first of all, thank you for sharing the data. And the University of Michigan should justly be proud of those gains in terms of socioeconomic diversity and diversity just broadly defined. You may not know that some of the regents have been here for quite some time, and it was really some of the regents around the table who came up with the idea for the Go Blue Guarantee, and also provided the support for the pathways. As you can see today, their commitment to that has actually been enhanced. It's quite a significant commitment from them to increase the minimums for qualifying for Go Blue Guarantee. So I hope you can see, and I think that's one of the most clear illustrations of their commitment to not only the values, but what you have accurately indicated have been a success at the University of Michigan at a time where it was not that straightforward to achieve that kind of success. So thank you so much for your comments and for everything that you do.
Thank you.
We now move on to the public comment portion of the meeting, and Vice President Kinsey.
Thank you, President Ono. We're now moving into the public speaker section of the meeting. As part of the regular meeting agenda, the Regents set aside time for individuals to present comments to the board. As a reminder, the board does not generally respond to comments during public session. All public board meetings are formal events convened under Article 8, Section 4 of the Michigan Constitution. In keeping with reasonable and appropriate norms of decorum, all attendees, including speakers, should treat others with respect and civility. Individuals who are approved to speak will be expected to speak to the topic that was submitted during their registration, truthfully disclose all relevant organizational ties during the registration submission, and promptly cease speaking after the allotted time per speaker. Speakers who do not adhere to these rules may be precluded from speaking in future meetings. With that, I'd like to call upon our first speaker, Melissa Borja. Welcome, Melissa. You have up to 5 minutes to speak.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Melissa Borja. I'm Associate Professor in American Culture, and I'm here to speak about the importance of our university's diversity, equity, and inclusion work, or DEI. Now, let me begin with a basic reminder of why we are all here. We take pride in the University of Michigan, that our faculty produces research that changes the world, that our classrooms are sites of transformative learning, and that our graduates apply their ideas and ideals to make the world safer, fairer, kinder, and wiser. And this pride is why I'm here today, because the University of Michigan has been a true leader in DEI work, and because these initiatives have been a central means through which we have nurtured the full promise of the University of Michigan and its people. So what exactly does DEI do? Well, first, DEI has helped create a university community that reflects our state and our society at large. Since 2016, when DEI 1.0 began, our undergraduate student population has become much more diverse. We've seen a 28% increase in female students, a 43% increase in Black students, a 167% increase in Hispanic students. We've seen a 62% increase in first-gen students and a 32% increase in Pell Grant recipients. And our faculty has also become more diverse, with notable gains in the number of female, Black, Latino, Asian, and Native American faculty. Secondly, our DEI programs have supported excellence in scholarship, teaching, and mentorship that has made our university a research powerhouse. The LSA Collegiate Fellows Program has brought in talented scholars who are doing cutting-edge research, transforming their respective fields. The National Center for Institutional Diversity has supported researchers doing innovative scholarship with big public impact. We should feel proud of this. And our DEI work has had a ripple effect that reaches far beyond our university. It's visible in the prize-winning research our scholars do, our leadership in the public discourse, and our mentorship of the next generation of researchers. Third, our DEI programs have given students the practical support they need to succeed, both before they get to college and after they arrive. We all know that socioeconomic barriers prevent us from benefiting from people's full talent and promise. And to address that problem, we've invested in more need-based scholarships. Thank you. But financial aid alone isn't enough. It doesn't address the systemic barriers that prevent students from gaining admission or succeeding once they get here. And this is where our DEI programs thrive. Our DEI programs break down barriers before college. The Wolverine Pathways program offers college readiness programs for middle and high school students. The Michigan College Advising Corps funds recent graduates to work in under-resourced schools and help high school seniors apply to college. And our DEI programs level the playing field once students arrive at campus. The Summerbridge Scholars Program helps students build confidence, networks, and college credits even before classes begin. And Success Connects offers students mentoring, academic coaching, leadership workshops, and tutoring. So if we cut DEI funding, let's be honest about what that means. It means scaling back the efforts that have made our community more diverse. It means withholding from researchers the support they might need to reach the top of their fields and have an impact on real-world problems. It means cutting beloved programs that helps promising students throughout our state. It means looking at students and their families and saying, you are on your own. Now, let me close with a little bit of personal background. I'm a child of immigrants, born and raised in Saginaw, about an hour and a half north of here. Not many kids, from Saginaw make it to the University of Michigan. I've had 2 kids from Saginaw in my classes since I've taught here. And when I applied to college 25 years ago, my family couldn't afford to come to U of M, even as in-state residents. There was no Go Blue guarantee then or Wolverine pathways, so I didn't come here. But fast forward to 2017, I finally got a chance to be a Wolverine, this time as a faculty member. I benefited directly from faculty development programs and funding initiatives through NCID. I teach and mentor students every day who benefit from Wolverine pathways in Summerbridge. In short, our DEI initiatives are partly why I'm here today speaking before you as a tenured faculty member. And it is out of this personal experience that I remain committed to ensuring that we continue to be leaders in making higher education more just, accessible, and equitable. Ultimately, DEI work and the values that animate it are central to who we are and who our world needs us to be at this moment. Supporting DEI is a chance for the University of Michigan to truly be the leaders and best. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Borja. I'd like to call upon our next speaker, Keith Riles. Yes. Welcome, Keith. You have up to 5 minutes to speak.
Regent Beam? Pardon me.
Yeah, gotta get my reading.
When does the clock start?
Yeah, 1 second.
Regent Beam is responding. All right.
Professor Borja, all the programs that you mentioned, I don't think there's a person sitting at the table who plans on making any cuts to any of those programs. Absolutely. And I think there's just, I don't know where these assumptions have come from. I don't know where these rumors have come from. Well, I have a good idea, actually. But I think we just want you to know there are no plans to make any cuts to any of those programs. I have a meeting scheduled in the next 2 weeks to increase Wolverine pathways in the Flint area, and I'd like to have it go in a direction toward Saginaw. So these are programs that we find very valuable and have no intention of cutting.
I'm grateful that's a record.
No, all set, thanks.
Thank you, Regent Beam.
Beck, we're expanding.
Yeah, I think all I would say is that you can't believe everything that you read on the internet, and this is exactly one of those moments.
Regent Brown, are you touching your button? I can't tell.
Yeah, I guess I should say that, the way the governance of this institution works, that the regents, as you see sitting at this table, and people who have spoken today from the various groups, everyone in the constituency is represented, and they are supposed to use those mechanisms, in lack of a better word, bureaucratic pathways, to express those opinions and ask those questions of their center head, their dean, their provost, their president, and then the board. And if there are programs that are more effective or those that are less effective, we want to continually look to best practices to invest in. And any recommendation for any program should be made through those proper bureaucratic pathways to enhance and make best practices of everything we do here. So I encourage that to happen instead of this strange rumor mill that I love reading about the things that apparently I'm going to do before I've even been a thought in my mind about doing them. It's fascinating and not the appropriate pathway to run a world-class institution.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Keith. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Keith Riles. I am a physics professor here in Ann Arbor. I gather that you are having some second thoughts about DEI at the University of Michigan. With the exception of race-blind, gender-blind programs such as the Go Blue Guarantee, I urge you to rip out all of the DEI industrial complex at these campuses. I've warned for more than 20 years since my time on SACUA that affirmative action, now cynically repackaged as DEI, is corrosive to this institution and is typically implemented illegally. Although I believe the rationales for affirmative action withered away decades ago, I'm not here to argue about those rationales or about the pros and cons of policy choices. I will comment, though, that DEI is a particularly toxic form of affirmative action because of its relentless focus on grievance ideology. The effects were especially pernicious in 2020 during the George Floyd hysteria and the BLM grift. But the toxicity continues even now in the form of anti-racism. Oddly enough, though, I do agree that we are plagued by systemic, that is institutionalized racism and sexism. It's called DEI. It is the only systemic racism that has persisted at this university, or for that matter, throughout most of American society. Setting aside the many harmful effects of DEI, let me now focus on the legal, or I should say illegal aspects of some of the programs. As a reminder, the voters of the state declared loudly and unmistakably in 2006, "Thou shalt not discriminate," period. Yet this public university has resumed doing so under the umbrella of DEI. Two blatant examples are the Presidential and Collegiate Fellows programs, which now distort faculty hiring in my own college. One merely has to peruse the websites listing the names and the photos of the fellowship recipients to understand that these programs were designed to and have been implemented to discriminate against white and Asian males. That is their purpose. Any reasonable standard of disparate impact makes that clear. While it's true that occasionally a white or Asian male will actually win one of these diversity contests based on a record of previous DEI activism, it is fundamentally a rigged competition. I call out these two programs reluctantly because I personally know several of the fellows who work in fields close to my own. I like and respect them all, and some of them have now earned tenure in the hard sciences, validating their excellence as scholars. My beef is not with them at all. It is with a hiring process that is inherently corrupt and should be ended, along with all other DEI programs that discriminate on the basis of race or gender. This university is one lawsuit away from another humiliating trip to the US or perhaps Michigan Supreme Court. All it would take is one disappointed, disillusioned postdoc who no longer cares about being blackballed in academia to bring it all down, the house of cards. All that takes is one person with legal standing, and I suspect there are several hundred, if not thousands, who have that legal standing. Now, these faculty fellowship programs are manifestly discriminatory in design and implementation, but there are other programs that are prone to the same tendency. Now, I think that most of my colleagues go along with all of this because they sincerely hope they are doing good. Others go along because that's a shrewd path to advancement in academia. Still, others go along because resistance seems futile and risky to one's reputation. One might get called a racist or a sexist or some other ist, perhaps not in front of one's face, but behind one's back, leading to pariahship. One of the reasons, though, that we faculty can earn tenure is to give us the freedom to speak our minds honestly, including to the powerful. With that in mind, let me point out your own culpability. You signed off on these programs, including the $15 million plus per year that is squandered on the salaries of DEI administrators who collectively have done more harm than good. Fortunately, it is not too late for you to reverse course. I urge you to do so. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to speak. If I had more than 5 minutes, I could elaborate on how DEI actually works at this university at the ground level. If any of you would like to know more, you know how to reach me. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Riles. Comments? I'd like to call upon our next speaker, Ryan Stilberfine. Welcome. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon, President Ono, Board of Regents, administrators. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Ryan Silverfine. I'm a senior in LSA, and I currently have the privilege of serving as the president of Michigan Hillel's Executive Governing Board. I'm here to provide an update on the Jewish student community on campus, an update that, despite the challenges we face this year, centers on something deeply important: Jewish joy. While it's true that we must continue to support individual students navigating instances of anti-Semitism and hate, and we came together in large numbers to solemnly commemorate the tragic events of October 7th, I'm here to report that this semester has been about much more than hardship and anti-Semitism. It's been about resilience, connection, and joy. Joy in the form of making new friends and building community during an isolating time. For example, over 500 students have connected with one another through Hillel's Coffee Outreach Program, where student leaders take the time to meet with and support other Jewish students. Or while participating in one of our over 45 events this semester, from communal dinners to a flag football tournament and even a 5K through the Arb. Enjoying the simple moments, sharing soup and coffee as the weather turns colder, and offering resources to those who need it most. We as a community are not blind to the challenges we continue to face, including the ongoing presence of anti-Semitism on campus. We are choosing to face those challenges together, one day at a time, with strength, solidarity, and yes, joy. I'm deeply grateful for the support of each of you and the administration have shown us as we navigate these challenges. Your commitment helps us not only endure, but also thrive. Together, we are working to ensure that Jewish students at the University of Michigan feel safe, respected, and valued. Thank you again for your time and for allowing me to speak on behalf of the vibrant and resilient Jewish community here at Michigan.
Brian, I just want to thank you for that update and report and for your resilience and being positive. All of us have published email addresses, and if you need to reach out, if you see anything inappropriate, anything you think that we need to know or impact in order to assist you, please don't hesitate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. I now would like to welcome our next speaker, Miles Zhang. Welcome, Miles. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Regents, are you listening? Let's hear what 2,000 of our teachers say. 78 voted against changing the student code of conduct to make you prosecutor, judge, and jury. You Regents voted no. 87% voted yes to update the standard practice guides for more checks on executive power. You Regents voted no. 71% voted yes to censure the Board of Regents to condemn your so-called institutional neutrality. You Regents voted no. Regents, are you listening? You do not care about those numbers. Let me rephrase that in numbers you do care about. This year, the U.S. military spent $800 billion. The top 100 recipients saw record profits in the past 5 years. General Dynamics Corporation, 92% growth in stock value. Raytheon Corporation, 29% growth in stock value. Northrop Grumman, 40% growth. Lockheed Martin, 34% growth. This is where you invest our money. Regents, are you listening? Yes, you are listening. Here are the people you listen to. General Dynamics, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Israel Aerospace Industries, and the U.S. military-industrial complex who say that not to support them is to be anti-Semitic. We students and faculty do not like you. We do not trust you. We do not want you. When you invest in conflict, expect conflict. You invested in conflict and selling the weapons of murder across the world, not just Israel, but in the entire global South. You profit from that indirectly every single day. You invested in conflict. You say this is okay. You say this with a straight face while using police against us. You invested in conflict abroad. You got conflict at home. Let's disrupt till you divest.
That was nice. Nice farewell. I'd like to now call upon our next speaker, Stephen Ward. Welcome, Stephen. You have up to 2 minutes to speak.
Stephen Ward. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Afro-American and African Studies, known by its acronym DAS, and in the Residential College, where I'm a member of the Social Theory and Practice program, and I am the faculty director of the Semester in Detroit program. I'm here not so much to offer a comment, but rather I wanted to listen and also want to implore you to listen. Specifically, President Ono, Provost McCauley, and especially the Regents, I would encourage you to listen. And I'm going to start by taking a moment and asking us all to listen. What we hear outside are many of our colleagues raising their voices to challenge what they believe you plan to do. Now, a couple of you have just said that these are not true, right? That they're rumors. And there was some innuendo about where the rumors may have come from. Respectfully, there will not be any speculation on our part if there would be clear communication from all of you. Regents, President, and Provost have all received communications from the Sakura Chair, from individual faculty members, from a broad faculty and students and staff supported letter asking you to declare your commitments to DEI. You've refused to do so. It is a bit disingenuous for you here to claim to be such proponents. President Ono, it was indeed encouraging to hear your announcement at the beginning of these proceedings that the Gold Blue Guarantee will be expanded. However, it was a bit disingenuous for the self-congratulation that you and others issued without acknowledging that the Gold Blue Guarantee is an expression of and a result of the commitments and the principles and the practices that are underlie and been expressed through the various expressions of DEI, which are broader than you all seem to recognize, as my colleague as the first speaker explained to you. So in your response to her, you said these programs will not be cut. I appreciate that. But you did not acknowledge that she said DEI is more than just those programs. So I encourage you to go back and hear her remarks and read the letters that have been submitted to you and go to the people who know this work, who do this work. That's who I think you should listen to. Just as you should listen to the people outside who are raising their voices. And I know some of you, perhaps many of you, I hope not, but maybe all of you will dismiss those voices outside and disregard them. But you shouldn't. You should hear them and heed them, engage them, and learn from them. Now, finally, since I will ask you to do this. Commit to us here that you will not cut the Collegiate Fellows Program, and you will not, there'll be no cuts to that program and no cuts to the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. That would be the appropriate response to say that you understand and support and are committed to this work. My apologies. You have some charges. Please take them seriously.
Thank you, Stephen. I'd like to now call upon our, wait, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to reiterate that I think the community would be better served to advocate for the principles of DEI with our new president that's coming into office, and not at the Board of Regents, who over time, I believe, have invested over $200 million in DEI. Thank you.
I'd like to invite our next speaker, Kimberly Belisario Petrovich. Welcome, Kimberly.
Good afternoon. My name's Kim Belisario Petrovich. I've been a clinical exercise physiologist for 20 years. Our work is focused on stress testing, managing cardiac rehabilitation, metabolic fitness program, and lots of research. We hold a skill set at being able to restart your heart should it stop. I am honored today to be here representing the 4,500 allied professionals of UMAP. In 2020, they called us heroes, but we know that we're the backbone and foundation of Michigan medicine. With your support, we've made progress over the last 10 months with negotiations. Yet we continue to fight for fair pay and the PTO that we deserve. We need your help. We fight for those who have remained loyal to Michigan medicine through the pandemic, understaffing, burnout, only to be penalized with pay caps persisting for decades, all while we watch Michigan medicine acquire more facilities across the state, telling us time and time again, we don't have any money for you. Every day I see our core values posted at work: integrity, teamwork, care, inclusion, and respect. I live by these values, but when I see them wasted on negotiations, hear about patients waiting months for appointments, or watch coworkers working 2 jobs to feed their family, I ask myself, does Michigan medicine know, or have they lost sight of what makes the Michigan difference? We seek a stronger partnership with Michigan medicine, one that truly reflects these core values. Continued expansion without addressing the challenges that we face is a recipe for failure. We cannot continue to stretch ourselves thin. Our foundation's crumbling. Michigan medicine is one of the largest and most successful healthcare systems in the state. The financial capacity to fairly compensate its workers is undeniable. Fair wages are like us, they're essential. A strong, supported workplace is critical to the future success of this institute. Every person in this room has been impacted by our hospital. We urge President Ono and the Board of Regents to act swiftly and help us bring those negotiations to fair resolution by the end of 2024. Remember, we are the foundation, we are the backbone, and we are the Michigan difference. Don't leave us behind. Thank you.
Kimberly, I want to thank you and your colleagues for your amazing work you do at our hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wanted to give you the 1,601 signatures asking for a fair contract. They include members of Ann Arbor and the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. I call upon our next speaker, Tyler Fiorito. Welcome, Tyler. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Sorry, turning my brightness up. Needed to save power. Sorry, finding my speech. It's on my couch, but I have it on here too. There we go. Hello, I've been here before. Tyler Fiorito, now an alumnus, but still a contributor with the Michigan Review. I guess once a Wolverine, always a Wolverine. I'm here on behalf of the students and faculty to provide election data that is accurate because there was many compelling cases about how an election day on its own doesn't increase turnout. And after the studies that I pursued, that is 100% true, it seems. However, there also is a provable link between voter engagement events and an election day holiday. First and foremost, the review ran a poll. 88% said they wanted an election day holiday. That's amongst both faculty and students who responded. Also, CSG has approved the measure, I think, 10 times before, along with the Faculty Senate. Still, though, that does not say whether it works. I went digging, and I found this Princeton study in 2009 that says an election day holiday on its own does not increase turnout. However, there were follow-up studies about that, both in countries like Australia, Puerto Rico, and much of the European democracies. It showed their events, like in Puerto Rico, they have parades on election days, lead to a tangible increase in turnout. And the great news is Michigan has some of the best voter engagement events, both partisan, nonpartisan. I think we are the perfect environment to have an election day holiday combined with our previous efforts. I always thought that an election day holiday would just make people get out to vote. I guess that's sort of a fantasy, but if you're not inspired or engaged with the election, you're not going to vote either way. However, if we give people the time to engage with those resources, they can both make an informed decision and also feel confident in their vote. I spoke with a bunch of engineering students who had exams on election day, unfortunately. Every single student I interviewed said they did not vote, unfortunately. And apparently law students who did have the day off did vote, every single one that I interviewed. And they said they also signed up for the permanent absentee list. So I just wanted to say that I would love to make this happen and work with you all and find a proposal that works for everybody.
Regent Ecker?
Tyler, thank you. First of all, I really appreciate you coming here and talking about this. I appreciate your contributions to our campus, both in the review and on social media. Very much appreciated. I guess my question for you, and maybe this is something that we could talk about offline, is Michigan as a state, as you know, made voting a lot easier over the last few years. And even frankly, over the last two elections in 2022, as you know, students were out there waiting to vote until midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., long after the election had actually been called to place their right to vote, where it seemed like a much better, more streamlined process in 2024. Do you think, in light of that, there's more recent or more local data that would help us in making this decision process easier and show that it actually does help versus, having UMA open for voting for 3 weeks, leading up to Election Day, which is, I think, maybe it was a little less than that, but at least a couple weeks of early vote.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point because we do have those engagement resources. I also looked at other countries that do have the day off and what events they have on the day of. So if you're talking about specific states, there's no link whatsoever, just having an election day with no other resources, which I was kind of surprised that there wasn't even any kind of correlation there. But if you look at places like Israel and South Korea, also Puerto Rico, like I mentioned, there's some really interesting data where they average consistently 70 to 80% turnout because they have parades on election day. I don't know if we need a parade here. We can have one if you want. But they have parades, they have festivals. They're almost excited to vote. And in terms of Michigan, another thing that I think in terms of the absentee list, which I'm on, I always vote at home every year. It's very nice. People need to know how to get registered. I think a lot of people, especially if they're out-of-state students who are changing their permanent residency to here, a lot of them don't realize that they can add onto that list for the future. And I think having those resources and having a day off to actually go out and engage with those resources will get people not only to vote in elections next year, 2026, 2028, but if they're going to stay around in Michigan, they'll be on those lists and we'll see a noticeable impact compound on top of each other.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler, for bringing this up. And this is something the board continues to think about and look into. The greatest stat on this that you gave us on this sheet, and this is a rhetorical question, only 95% of students voted to have a day off. I mean, who are those 5% of those students that we got to find them? I take that stat with a little bit of a grain of salt.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tyler. I'd like to call upon our next speaker, Christina Uribe. Welcome, Christina. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Christina Uribe, and I am an undergraduate LSA honors student majoring in political science and history. My journey in higher education has been shaped by the challenges of living with a disability and serious health conditions. In fact, I was hospitalized here at U of M for a blood clot in the lung at the beginning of this semester. Disability doesn't define who I am, but it shapes how I navigate the world. Returning to school after my daughter was born, education was a lifeline to a better life for both of us while dealing with the impact of chronic illness and disability. Transferring to the University of Michigan has provided me the opportunity to further my academic and professional career, but it hasn't been without obstacles. That's why I'm advocating for the establishment of the Disability Cultural Center, a central space where disabled students can connect, find resources, and feel a safe sense of belonging. This center would bridge the gap many of us face and empower students to succeed academically, professionally, and personally despite the barriers we encounter. This initiative is also part of what DEI programs strive to achieve. As a DEI research assistant with the LSA Honors Program this summer, I was able to research and guide discussions on specific issues that I have faced throughout my life, including disability and homelessness. This institution provides students the ability to explore topics that may not impact them directly, but that are felt throughout our larger communities and impact our economies locally and globally. I have access to a future that I never would have otherwise been afforded because of my disability through the Go Blue Guarantee. Defunding DEI initiatives would have far-reaching impacts on our campus and our nation as the world has its eyes on the University of Michigan. Doing so would widen the inaccessibility of higher education, especially for students like me, who are motivated to not only improve their own lives, but that of others through advocacy and awareness. I urge you to approve the measure to establish the Disability Cultural Center and consider the larger implications of how defunding DEI would stifle progress in an institution that prides itself on being a pioneer of research in America. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Yassine Lowe. Welcome. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yassine Lowe, and I stand here today before you not only as a student, but as a Black woman whose voice aims to echo the diverse thoughts of a large body of the university community. Amplifying those who have felt and been belittled, silenced, and ignored, I hope that you feel their presence through me today. The University of Michigan, an institution whose mission is to serve the people of Michigan and the world through developing leaders and citizens who will challenge the present and enrich the future, has become one that has instead regressed to undeniable complacency, stifled outward expression, and upheld supposed neutrality, forgetting that silence in these times always sides with injustice. We've seen it all over the nation. DEI has been added to the list of dog whistles and buzzwords that many bureaucrats are now too scared to touch. Looking at DEI in actuality rather than from what it has become to represent across the political landscape, it is clear that many have it completely wrong and intentionally wrong, instilling terror and fear amongst their constituents and stakeholders for a reason I must attribute to ignorance at best and malice at worst. When tensions are high across campus, when racial violence is rampant, and when discontent is evident, it can be easy to scapegoat any interventions that have attempted to move the needle forward. Rather than taking a more nuanced look at the situation, the decision has been made to deliberately leave us behind. Despite the rhetoric that Regent Hubbard repeatedly stated during a misinformed and targeted interview, these statements are not true. Freedom of expression without an inclusion of all does not liberate anyone. Focusing university efforts with clear intentions of how to incorporate all members of the university community while still acknowledging our own shortcomings is the only way we can see actionable growth. Treating the requirement that faculty adhere to diversity via statements before their appointment and promotion as a limiting factor to conversations about other kinds of programs leaves me asking, what kinds of programs could this be? As if ensuring faculty, staff, administration, and that administration are dedicated to building a more diverse population is a detriment rather than a benefit. DEI as a program is all-encompassing and imperfect because we as people, scholars, thinkers, and doers are imperfect. Rather than axing these programs and initiatives less than 10 years after their inception, listen to your students, your staff, your faculty, and your community. The University of Michigan prides itself on being the epitome of excellence in the collegiate arena. Let us not lead in a path backwards through cowardice, cynicism, or cruelty, but instead through courage, creativity, and compassion. Let us lead forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lowe. I don't want you to quite sit down yet. This will just take 1 second. Thank you for speaking. I know honesty is something we value and hopefully teach at this institution. So to that end, do you have an opinion about keeping the food halls open past 9 p.m., which is what you signed up for to speak about today?
Yes, I do, and I feel like that contributes to another equity issue that if you wanted to talk about further, I don't.
Well, we just gave you 2 minutes to talk about it, and we didn't. All right.
I had the same question because we were informed you wanted to talk about the dining hall, the fact that it should be open longer throughout the day. Currently on Ann Arbor campus, there are not many options for food past 9. I would like to ask for extended food options throughout the days. You didn't talk about that. Is that a problem, or are you standing by that? Or no? I heard you very clearly on what you did talk about, but it didn't have anything to do with what you indicated you were going to talk about. And I got kind of worried. I'm like, uh-oh, are we missing some meals? So is this something to be concerned about as well, or no?
That's welcome.
Okay, well, I've never seen anybody turn down for what they want to say. We like hearing everybody's opinion. We try to set a nice example to listen and listen respectfully. So, okay, thank you for, I'll disregard this part then, and as far as a concern about meals. I'm sorry?
Do you have a question?
No.
No question. Thank you.
I'd like to call upon our final speaker, Nicholas Love. Welcome, Nicholas. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Love, and I am before you today as a Black student who represents a long and proud lineage of Black activism on this campus. I chose to come to the university because of the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but consistently, the university has decided not to choose me. The university's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion didn't arise out of thin air, yet emerged from the persistent demands of students, faculty, and staff who challenged this institution to reflect on who it serves, who it excludes, who it claims to be, and create a model where we are consistently improving access to education and prosperity. DEI is not perfect and has never claimed to be, but the care that O'Day has shown its students like me is more than this board has ever done to show us. The Regents are taking a quote hard look at DEI for the results and metrics, but if you listen to O'Day leaders, faculty, and staff, you would recognize that the Black students you talk about in your comments, Regent Hubbard, have had an 87% increase in Black student enrollment since 2020, and the incoming class is 8.8% of Black identifying students. And you would know this if you open the folder on your desk, attended any DEI sessions, or listened to your chief diversity officer or me here today. At the September Regents meeting, President Ono, you opened with a tribute to the late President James Duderstadt, praising his exceptional vision and extraordinary energy. But what does this tribute mean if you don't uphold the legacy of President Duderstadt? A legacy embodied by the Michigan Mandate, one of the boldest and most transformative initiatives in the university's history that DEI currently holds. In the president's own words, the University of Michigan's ability to achieve and sustain a campus community recognized for its racial, cultural, and ethnic diversity will in large part determine our capacity to serve our state, our nation, and the world in the challenging times ahead. And we are in challenging times ahead. Yet today, the University Regents and President attempt to dismantle the very structures that embody these same principles. But I ask you, where is that vision? Where is that energy? Let me be clear. The tension and division that you misattribute to DEI efforts are a poor response and reflection of your own cowardice to stand for something. They come from a climate where students are called racial slurs, where racial graffiti is defaced on our buildings, and where Black students and experiences are being weaponized here today and on the national stage about tokenization that you allow. When these things happen to us, the quoted bloated administrative bureaucracy, as Regent Bernstein refers to, are the ones who have actually responded to us. They are the ones who have called us. They're the ones who have met with us. They are the ones who have heard and responded to our concerns and made sure that we felt seen, because the people in this room stayed silent when we called on you because you don't care about us. And your disinterest in what I'm talking about today shows that. Regent Bernstein, the moment of reckoning that you mentioned is here. But it's not on the dismantling and retooling of DEI, but rather what side of history do you want to be on? You can choose to honor the legacy of leaders like President Duderstadt by recommitting to your fight for diversity, equity, and inclusion, or you can choose to retreat into silence and complicity, leaving behind a university that's weaker, less just, and less capable of meeting the challenges of today. Because I know this for a fact. The Black Student Union and generations of students and activists who have come before me and who will come after me will not let this legacy die. We're going to continue to fight for the University of Michigan and the values that it so profoundly proclaims, whether you like it or not. Because the only decision that's up on the table today is whether you want to go down in history remembered as a stubborn administration shown in the Banport movement videos 30 years from now. The choice is yours. Thank you.
Mr. President, that concludes our public speaking session.
I just wanted to,
We should thank everyone, all of our public speakers today.
Yeah.
We very much appreciate it, and we listen to everyone and consider it very carefully.
yes, thank you. And I want to wish everybody a peaceful and happy holiday. And I wanted to thank our football players and our coach for an amazing performance with Ohio State. It brought great pride to the university. I really wanted to plant a flag in the middle of the table, but I was worried I'd be fined, so I didn't do that. But everybody have an awesome holiday, and thank you.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.
Okay.
Over, you're going to see these votes. What